So yeah, everyone, welcome to the Discord Commonwealth AMA. What do you call it? It has been some time, and we've got a lot to get into. Kyle will be joining us; he's on his way. So he'll be here soon. We'll get right into it actually. So. As a lot of you are aware, a lot of the team were at Token 2049 in Dubai a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of networking. There was an Oracle meetup, and we'll dive right into it. Actually, we'll get Tim to give a bit of a summary of what went down in Token 2049 and how it went along, and then we'll get right into the rest of the stuff. What's been happening actually with Commonwealth as well from a build perspective. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Harry, for the intro. Anybody who's listening, and if you want to type in the messages as well, if you were actually at Token 2049, I'd be interested to know how many people were there, and also, if you share my experience or my views of, you know, what is sort of represented on the whole for the crypto industry. I'll start there because it is actually good context, good backdrop for giving updates on Commonwealth. It's no surprise that for the last 6 to 8 months, the market's been very, very difficult if you're in crypto. I don't think anybody has really had much conviction in understanding what sort of trajectory we're on as an industry. Before it was really, really clear that meme coins were dominating the landscape, but meme coins were not like the end goal or the destination for crypto. It was always just something kind of fun, a bit of a distraction, whilst the crypto industry matured itself, hopefully, and found some real world use cases and a reason to be bullish, both for developers and people in the industry, but also for liquidity to then flow into crypto. I do find the whole meme thing a little bit discouraging because I think what ended up happening was it was just a casino, and the casino was full of just degens in crypto, and they were sort of basically just siphoning liquidity between each other. Not sustainable and also not investable as a whole, as an industry. So I really went to Token 2049 in Dubai a few weeks ago, hoping that I would see and feel something that was cooking, like what actually is the future. Two questions I had that were prominent in my mind. One is there a breakthrough use case for crypto beyond what we've heard and seen in the last cycle? Last cycle was heavily dominated by sort of the promise of gaming and also DeFi. DeFi still exists today. It sort of does its thing. Since then, gaming has become like wildly kind of unpopular overall. It's been very tricky if you've been following the gaming industry, even as a whole. It's kind of like retracted, but then the Web3 side of things just hasn't followed through on the promise to be the next big breakthrough and use case for blockchain in the real world. Then the question is, okay, RWA, of course, yes, the whole US landscape is changing, and the normalization to a large degree on Wall Street of top crypto companies, for example, like XRP, winning its lawsuit, and obviously then the SEC backing down, the whole compliance landscape changing in the US, does make it very, very possible for us to believe that we're on the cusp of everything of value being tokenized in the world. And of course, then that is a big kind of breakthrough in general for blockchain, but I see that somewhat as an extension of DeFi. It's just making financial markets a lot more liquid and accessible. I don't necessarily think it's going to change the crypto industry on the whole. We probably see tokens like Ripple, XRP doing really, really well. But what about the rest of the crypto industry and the other how many 10,000, 20,000 tokens that are trading live right now? What does the future hold for them? So RWA is very much still prominent. DePIN, I actually didn't hear a lot about DePIN at Token 2049. And I suppose the overarching kind of message or feeling that I left Dubai with was that actually there isn't a lot breaking through when it comes to real world adoption of crypto, except for what I've mentioned. Everything to do with tokenization, huge. Bitcoin, of course, being massively adopted and accepted across the world. That's great. But then what about the rest of the sector? Where's the edge? Like, where can we sort of put our bets, if you want, as investors, as builders for the next 5 years when it comes to blockchain? Question mark still very much still open in the sense that I don't have much to feedback that I got out of there. VCs all told me the same thing, which is that the only way to really make money right now is trading your books. So liquid investments, whether that's OTCs or just market investments, and being smart and following the trends short term, and arbing the moves up and down to the point where you can just make reasonable gains. But again, it's not breakthrough technology. It's just keeping liquid. That's what all the VCs were telling me. Not many were heavily investing. Those that were investing in founders first rather than innovations. So if they really felt a founder was dogged and determined enough and had proven to be able to do exits previously, that was investable, because one of the keys for them was whether or not projects could pivot successfully when needed. And I think in the market, the way it is, when there's so much uncertainty, pivoting is exactly one of the most relevant strategies for being able to go to market successfully. So staying ahead of the curve, but yeah, overall, very much just kind of like a quite a conservative, even lackluster investment landscape, and that was really kind of illustrated by the fact that not many builders or founders were there looking to showcase their projects and raise money. It was really an ecosystem or a network that was dominated by the big sexes. So obviously all of the sexes were present, trying to kind of flex above each other, trying to take market share. um, Liquidity providers, so all the market makers were there, doing their thing, and VCs were there, but the actual like bread and butter of the industry, builders and new projects, and what I would call like burgeoning innovators, and people that are really exciting and you want to hear from. There wasn't that huge amount of presence there. You really had to look deep to try to find them, and when you did find them, a lot of them were still focusing on DeFi actually. So that's the main takeaways from Token 2049. When it comes to Commonwealth, it was actually, I know I'm sounding like slightly erring on sort of pessimistic or conservative with my review of Token 2049, but oddly, it was a really, really bullish experience for Commonwealth as a project. The reasons why were, well, we had just been going through, or we're continuing in Token 2049, a series of introspection workshops and strategic reorientation sessions. So the idea being that, okay, what is happening in the crypto industry? Where can Commonwealth position itself for long-term success in that industry? And what does that mean, and what does that entail for the short to medium term planning for Commonwealth? Those workshops were done online before Token 2049, and then the core team were gathering actually face to face. Some of them already are based in Abu Dhabi and Dubai respectively. Others came in from places like Phuket or England or Europe, and Kyle was there from Master or MV Global. John came over from Metabest Capital, and it was just a really, really good time to continue those strategic discussions. Obviously, do like face-to-face team building, which is always important when you work in a remote environment. So quality time spent together, and a lot of really good, positive kind of navel gazing and introspection when it comes to the future of Commonwealth. Uh, Quite a lot came out of it as well in terms of partnership discussions. Those are being actively followed up right now. But of course, that all has to fit under the umbrella of what is the kind of like new strategic orientation for Commonwealth. And I suppose without giving like absolutely everything away, the high level is that Commonwealth essentially still needs to prove product market fit. It was launched as a decentralized VC or as a the wealth factor, the 99%, being able to access the same kind of value creation as a VC gets through early stage investments. That was looking quite promising, 12 months ago or even 18 months ago. Now there's a bit of a question mark because most projects that are launching right now are not launching well. Actually, trading, down 90% on average for new launches within the last year. That's not really a good money making strategy when you evaporate 90% of your capital. So in terms of Commonwealth, like then you have to say what is the product market fit going forward, and we do believe VC is going to come back, and there is going to be an investable structure to venture in Web3. Like that is still a strategic bet of Commonwealth, but it's not the only strategic bet, and there are other wealth creating, profit creating, or yield bearing strategies that exist in Web3, which are largely inaccessible to most people. Whether it's the high minimums that are required in order to access these things, often upwards of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 to make them work, or even to be able to meet the minimum requirements. And then, of course, DeFi normally requires quite considerable amounts of capital to move around the DeFi ecosystem to be able to arb the opportunities in DeFi. And there's also a technical barrier as well for a lot of people navigating different networks, different protocols, bridges, and so forth to be able to optimize yield strategies when it comes to DeFi. So if you take all of that as a problem statement and then you reverse engineer it towards what Commonwealth is good at, which is building a front-facing application which is easy to use, intuitive to most Web2 users, and abstracts away two things importantly: technical barriers, but also high minimums for people to participate. Then you have something which looks and feels a lot more like a wealth creation app, the likes of that doesn't exist actually in Web3 or anywhere right now. Yes, you get DEXs, you get SEXs, you get investment platforms, you get all types of things, but you do not specifically get that USP in one app that Commonwealth is looking to provide in the long term. So if you've been paying attention, you would have seen in the last day or two, the team have launched a new subsection of Discord, which is based on proposals. So if you or anybody is making money in crypto with a certain strategy that you think is scalable, then by all means go to that chat. There's a tally form where you can put in a few basic details, and then it'll be discussed in the community. And the chances are it's possible to integrate that into the Commonwealth app so that every user who has access to Commonwealth has access to that type of wealth creation opportunity. So this is this is the result of all the strategic discussions and introspection that the team has been doing. The other top line news is, I suppose, that a lot of work has been done on treasury management, being able to safeguard and secure the runway for the future. So Commonwealth is capitalized, it is liquid, it is safeguarded for the foreseeable future. That's the good news, and I think that is one thing that you need to obviously secure in a very volatile crypto market, is making sure that you can actually continue to produce, develop, and ship your product, because a lot of projects are facing difficulties with runway and are having to close. That is not the case for Commonwealth. The team, as you would have picked up from what I'm saying, is incredibly motivated and convicted. They have a direction, and now it's just about execution. So there'll be a lot coming at you in the next 6 months, I would say. For Commonwealth. For those of you who are Gen NFT holders or stakers, you'll probably be invited into beta testing of all these new innovations that are coming on the app. So stay tuned, and if you're here in this Discord, it is likely that you're an early adopter of Commonwealth. Then you will be brought into the fold earlier and can give feedback and get a sneak preview of everything that's going on. Look for a new look Commonwealth also going forward. But I don't want to give too much away. But also on top of that, really exciting partnerships that are being developed and worked on as well, that will bring hopefully huge amounts of value to the Commonwealth ecosystem. The last update I wanted to give before we bring in Kyle, who is Kyle. Kyle is here, yeah. The last update I wanted to give you was, you will have noticed that the token is now 98% in circulating supply. That is a huge win for everybody who has a vested interest in the wealth token. Why? It's because, and Kyle can maybe talk about this a little bit more. It just means that you're not always having to look over your shoulder and safeguarding against the inflation which will come from somewhere into the token. And now the token supply is out there. The idea and the intention is very much to build a positive price action up and to the right during hopefully a bullish banana zone style market phase where small to medium caps get a lot of attention. And something like Commonwealth will get attention because it generates revenue, it's new, it's novel, and also because we have great partners and great backers. Now, what's normally happening in those situations is people sell into that liquidity that comes in now, and tokens are unlocked, invested, and huge amounts of supply hit the market to try to take advantage of that. That's not the case now. So hopefully we've found a natural bottom on the token price. Obviously it's a lot lower than anybody would have liked, but that goes for nearly every crypto project existing right now. But with the inflation out of the way, we're really hoping that we can release these updates, show very sound economic business principles as a model and as a revenue generating machine. And long term, you'll well, I'm not going to make any promises, of course, but the ecosystem of wealth, the token itself, should be doing very well. So I'll leave it at that. I've spoken enough sort of with orientation, market, and also key updates from Commonwealth. But I want to hear from Kyle. You can pick up on anything I've said here, buddy, or you can just tell us what the hell you're up to and why you are in America.
Hey guys, thanks Tim. So yeah, one thing I'll just start with is I said this, we have a lot of team meetings and then we have this discussion a lot, and I think that amongst a lot of the private groups that like Tim and I might be in, or even with all the other oracles, Tim, you said that the VC model doesn't seem to be working. I think that the VC model is, for me personally, still think it's very much still working well. The fact is with VC, 9 out of 10 deals are going to fail. That's just the way it is. But then the ones that do well, will really make up for that. So I don't think that anything has changed there. That certainly has been the case for the investments that I've made personally over the past 3 years. And at least it seems to be that way. Yeah, with the way that the lack of secondary market buy pressure has been, I was really fortunate to be in a couple of deals that did really well, even in the current condition. but that's how VC is, and that's what you get when you have like a pretty good, as we have like the council who's able to, the oracles who are able to bring deals to the table. And then I think a lot of that's going to change. A lot of the projects that we invested in still have really from Commonwealth still have sound fundamentals. I don't know if you guys saw that announcement of Maverick, who did the largest RWA deal recently. That was a big deal. That's one of the portfolio companies from Commonwealth. So I think that if I can give my own opinion on what Tim said, I'm not worried about the core idea of what Commonwealth is to be successful. I think that a lot of these tokens will pick back up. A lot of projects are holding back their marketing announcements, their firepower for when it makes sense to actually do this. This is something that, having been in many cycles before and consulting and advising projects during bear markets, they're still working hard. They're still building partnerships, but it makes no sense to make big announcements when nobody's listening. So I think that we'll still see a lot of positive upside in the things that Commonwealth has invested into when we get a lot more liquidity in the market and altcoins all start going up. We're starting to see that. We're starting to see Bitcoin dominance fall a little bit. I'm not quite sold on the idea that alt season's here yet. I want to see a bit more confirmation, but I do think that it's definitely coming. And then to extrapolate a little bit more on that, so I do think though that there was enough people on the team that felt like we needed to add some more products, and I don't disagree with that, just to make it more versatile. I think the goal is to get enough different types of variety on the app to really improve the user experience to where people will bring capital into the app, and then if you want to take some profits from the things that the money that's coming in from your venture investments, and maybe you can roll it into, let's say you take profits into stablecoin or Bitcoin. Maybe there's a strategy on the platform that allows you to generate yield from that or something like that. And the overall goal would be to accumulate assets under management the same way any other fund does over time. And this has always been a long-term horizon vision for us, and that's why it's important. Tim mentioned, we're protecting treasury, being very smart around the way that we spend money, making sure that we don't run out of cash, and we're doing really well on that objective. So I'd like to see a place where, in the next 5 years or something, we've got, hundreds of millions of dollars under management. And, what's going to enable that? Even in 10 years, billions of dollars under management. And when that happens, you start to just play around with the economic model that we've designed. You start to see a lot of powerful things happening within that token economy. I'm in the States right now and have moved back here. We'll see for how long, at least probably for 9 months. I've got an objective here, and the objective is to really integrate myself into the American crypto scene as it becomes deregulated. Well, right now it's unenforced. They've dropped enforcement actions against everything, and they're planning on rolling out, clear regulations. I don't know exactly when, but I did have a discussion with the SEC about a month ago or so. That was pretty surreal to be sitting on a Zoom call with the SEC, and just a few months ago that would have been a death sentence. In this case, it was actually very productive, and continue to work those angles and want to network. And SEC has something that they're doing with another organization nearby. It's called the Innovation Zone, where certain projects can go in there and work in collaboration with them. The American consumer market is the largest market in the world, and it'd be nice to be able to do proper marketing in America for the products that are available on the platform. Tim said that we haven't seen product market fit necessarily. I don't think that we've been cautious on spending money on marketing and awareness about the products that we have, and because our products have been focused around early stage investment, and because they haven't been doing well, there hasn't been a lot of excitement from retail to participate in these kind of things. And I think though that really the focus on early stage investing, for me anyway, it's something that I've been doing for a long time, and it still gets me really excited. And I still think there's a lot of great opportunities out there. And I still think that, the future Solanas and Chainlinks and, Sui's and things like that still are coming, in the space. And so I hope that we are able to get early access to a lot of these. And a lot of this stuff is going to be built in America. And I'm putting myself right in the middle of all that innovation and working really hard on helping with doing what I can to grow exposure through my personal brand, through the YouTube channel. I'm not sure if most of you guys know or not, but there's a TV show that I'm on called Crypto Nights that should be airing probably early June, and I hope that brings a lot of exposure to what's happening. That's like a Shark Tank for Web3, and I think that'll help a lot. I'm also looking for a PR agency to help with that, to grow exposure to the things that I'm doing. And and I was just recently interviewed for a New York Times post that came out of nowhere, which is cool. So that's what my objective right now is, to kind of grow my social media following as large as possible, as quickly as possible, and have that, redirect that attention back into the things that we're building, like Commonwealth, for example. So that's why I'm here. We did have a member from MV, one of my executives, meet with Bo Hines at the White House. And so we're making good progress pretty quickly on, being able to break into that kind of Trump administration pro-crypto regulatory environment. And I think that it's going to be a very net positive for us. And I think that market, I'm actually on the ground here talking to people, and it's pretty shocking, the lack of understanding of crypto amongst at least Americans in Texas so far, where I've been. Like very little knowledge and understanding, and almost no participation. So as we get regulatory clarity, and as banks are starting, if you guys watch my YouTube videos, you saw banks are starting to now allowed to buy and sell Bitcoin and custody crypto and things like that. So that's going to be rolling out soon. I think that'll bring a whole new set of onboarding of users into the space. With more users comes more demand and more interest. And I think that over the next year or two, we're going to get millions and millions and millions and millions of new people with a lot of money coming into the space that are looking to park capital into quality things. So, I think by quality things, I think that a lot of the deals that we get access to, those are the kind of things that people are looking for. Certainly for me, if you guys know my story, it was a really big blessing to be able to invest in things like Coinbase and Kraken, Ripple, Securitize, these kind of things, Circle. And I still think that there's more of that coming. We're just getting started. For the first time in crypto's history, America will be able to, where the best talent in the world is, will be able to start innovating freely. And I think we're going to see a lot of innovation coming soon. So we just need to do really well with negotiations, make sure that we build a strong value proposition. I know on the app, we've updated, and I'm pretty sure it's ready to go, the questing platform, which I think brings a big value proposition to projects. And so, before, I think maybe on the alpha round, the alpha fund, we were getting maybe regular allocation terms, like the same as the VCs. We're going to be pushing hard and fighting for KOL type terms. Why? Because we're going to have gamification on the platform and incentivize. And so when we invest into projects, we will go out there and give them a lot of value, the same way that actually, more than most KOLs would. So I think that also brings another interesting aspect where we're going to be hopefully getting the best terms possible for the best projects. And all it really takes to make a huge change in Commonwealth's attention profile is just for us to knock it out of the park on one of these investments, to get the next Gunzilla or the next Sui or something like that. And then once people understand that your only way to get into the next one like that is from Commonwealth, that'll bring a lot of attention. So things can shift, in a matter of a blink of an eye. Yeah, that's I think all I have for now. Unless there's any, love to take questions too from anyone. If we save some time for that, maybe we can.
Yeah, absolutely, Kyle. Thanks for that. It looks like you're already making moves in the US, so that's good to hear.
Yeah.
And I know there's a bigger picture to that and what you're looking to achieve. So hope you absolutely smash it out of the park. Sounds like you're already on your way there, so that's really good to hear. We're gonna have an AMA section at the end, definitely. What we can do now is, Ian, if you're there, we'll love to hear a dev update. I know you have been posting some dev updates over the past month or so, but we'd love to hear what you've been up to and what we've all actually been up to and where we're heading.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure. I think most people in the group, in the audience right now, is probably seeing the dev updates. But we've been making a lot of, I guess, subtle changes and a few bigger changes to the way that the app is functioning at the moment. The funds and the bundles have been split up, and they both function a bit differently. Whereas historically, they were kind of bundled all together, and it was a little bit confusing trying to understand what did what. There are definitely a lot more updates coming from that in terms of the wealth fund and the community fund wealth fund kind of operates a lot differently to the other funds as well. So we've identified that we would like to kind of separate that off and show it as more of a kind of wealth economy. We're heading that direction. We've just seen some updates to the marketplace, specifically like the Prices Fund and Alpha Fund slices now show a lot more data that's a lot more relevant. We will continue to update those and make them appear a little bit more like proper fintech, financial reporting type structures, so you can actually kind of a little bit of gamification that happens, so you can forecast and play and see if you can pick yourself up some slices for quite cheap there too. So they are a lot more easy to read. And also the rewards program. It's been a bit of a pain in the bum, to tell you the truth. We learned a lot of lessons from the Prices Fund, and we've made some changes, and a lot of these changes will be having the user stay on the app rather than directing them off the app to go and do most of the exercises or missions that we want them to do. So that's looking finally good. We've been at war with a particular piece of it to do with the X API. Now that's has been sorted actually today, so we'll be doing some end-to-end testing and hopefully be bringing that forward sooner than later. We're pushing quite hard with that. It's just been a long and painful process, and looking forward to seeing the end of that one. And after that is we are looking to introduce wallet abstraction. So what wallet abstraction means is we'll basically embed an automated wallet created for all the users or all new users that come into the platform, and they won't need to join or connect their wallet every time they want to use the app. It can be a little bit confusing for first timers when we have to connect to base network 2 and you've got to sign multiple transactions. So we're looking to eliminate that flow and make the whole onboarding authentication experience a lot better, and the sign-in experience too. And we are also looking into having a native Android, a native iOS app. The ruling that came from the Epic Games against Apple has been very good in terms of what we could do as a crypto project, a fintech app. So yeah, that's pretty much
Everyone,
where
Teddy
we're
Baldassar
going.
with Teddy.
We also introduced a Fairside link today, which is one of our partners, and they offer wallet coverage. So feel free to go and check that out. You'll find that in the portfolio and also in your profile as well. I think that's it. We have been making subtle changes here and there, and trying to, we've removed the website, and we've cleaned the docs up. The docs will be another thing that we clean up a lot too. It's quite outdated and very bulky, and directing a lot of the FAQs and troubleshooting and etc. into those docs. So it's looking a lot cleaner. The app's functioning a little bit better and quite a lot faster now. We were in Dubai. It did seem a little bit slower there, so we work on getting that content delivered over that side of the world a bit faster as well. And that's about it, I think. Unless I missed anything, Costa?
No, I think you guys are doing well. You've got some questions coming into the chat though, but I suppose we'll get to those in a second. Or Harry, how do you want to do this?
Yeah, we can go to the questions in the chat, and if anyone wants to come up, they can request to come up, and we can bring them up as well. So what we'll do is we'll answer some of the questions in the chat just now. Tim, is there any particular ones you've seen? I'm just scrolling back to make sure I don't miss any.
There was a question about whether or not we've got an Android version of the app working. So
yes.
we can give some feedback on that. I mean, we'll push that over to Ian.
Yeah, so currently the app is a PWA, like Progressive Web App, so it does actually run on all devices. It just, if you're running the app in a browser, you can kind of hit the share button and add to home screen, so it will function like an app on all the devices. The code base was written in React, so it should function on all devices, and does function on all devices, been well tested. In terms of actually having a native Android and iOS app, we are exploring those options heavily at the moment. It's been a great topic of discussion. We do want to introduce that sooner than later. It'll be a lot smoother experience. So we definitely do have that on the cards.
Nice. Essentially, there's kind of the high level is that the team is hyper focused on improving user experience, as well as nailing these products that we've talked about. So if you have two things, if you have products that people want to use and a user experience which makes people using those or accessing those products very, very easy, streamlined, frictionless, then you should be able to secure the project, the long-term viability and revenue long term. So those are the goals for the team right now, and it's a bit hard unless you're like really following all the micro details. If you are following the micro details, you will see huge amounts of progress being made on a sort of daily, weekly basis by the team. Actually, ironically, in some ways, a smaller team, a more agile setup, has brought with it quite a bit of efficiency when it comes to integrating changes. And the intention is very much, and I'll even make a commitment to you guys and to everyone here, is that speed to market when it comes to new products will be radically improved compared to how it was before. One of the learnings, I believe, from the first year and a half, 2 years of the project was that aiming for the gold standard did cost us in go-to-market timing and delivery and execution. What I mean by that is, making things perfect before they were released meant on more than one occasion actually that we delivered something too slow, a little bit behind the curve, and we can go into more details on that if you wanted, but it's more important that we learn from that and ensure that the team is agile enough to be able to execute and deliver things quickly. So that's really, really important. So yeah, definitely Android and iOS app are on the cards. A lot of work is being done on UX and look and feel overall. So look out for changes on that front as well. It's been one of the things that Kyle has been pushing the team on for a long time is, hey guys, like, you need to have like the sickest user experience possible. And we are definitely making tracks on that road, like substantial, but it's not quite there yet. So at the point when it's ready for, kind of like a new release, you'll see on the socials and in all the marketing materials, they'll be like, hey guys, like now we're ready to, we're proudly ready to announce this to the rest of the world. Right now, like Kyle mentioned, we have been holding back on full scale marketing until those things are like tweaked and finessed. I'm getting very, very close to being in that position right now, thanks to the good work that's being done by the team. So, yeah, that's hats off to everyone working on the inside here. There's quite a few questions coming in, so I don't know who's going to moderate them.
Got another one?
And
Yeah.
chat them up.
Yeah, I can go through them, no problem. Next one is someone's asking a bit more on the algo trading, algo powered trading, so Sequence. So the first proposal that's gone in through the product pictures section.
Yeah, actually, I think Kyle, if you wanted to give some insights from your experience and understanding of the Sequence algo trading, and then I can fill in anything afterwards.
I'm not sure what the question is, but for those of you guys who don't know, it's a partner of mine that I've been using, and been using it with. There's two strategies. One is a Bitcoin accumulation strategy, and that's really interesting. It trades with 1.5 times leverage, and it just the nice thing is that I've had 2 times in my life. I've had people claim to be able to trade really well and trade Bitcoin for me, and both times I've given them Bitcoin to do it. I ended up getting 0 back, and so lost my Bitcoin in those deals, which kind of terrorized me from ever wanting to do anything again that risky, because there's no ROI in the world that's worth losing your Bitcoin for. So the way that this one works, which is really nice, is that you don't have to give up custody of the Bitcoin. I'm not sure how it would work, Tim. Maybe after I'm done, you can take over and explain how it might work with Commonwealth. But the way that I do it right now is that I just give them the trading firm essentially API access to my Bybit account. I create a sub account, only they can access that one, not my main account. And then whatever I have right now, currently a sub account for Bitcoin, and then I have a sub account for stablecoin. And then so on average, they've been running these strategies for a few years. On average, the Bitcoin one gets about 36% per year, which means if you start with 1 Bitcoin, you'll end up with 1.36 Bitcoin at the end of the year. And after 10 years, if you compound that and you don't take anything out, you'll have 10 Bitcoin by the end of 10 years or so. So that's the power of compounding, right? And the stablecoin one, if you're maybe more risk off, you're not totally in the market, or you just have a bunch of stable coins sitting around that you want to earn some yield on, they're doing over 50% a year APY on stablecoin. And again, most of the times when you hear these kind of numbers, it screams like scam, danger, watch out. But there's a video I made with the founder of Sequence and interviewed him, and we go over kind of the risks that are involved there. Mostly the risk is just insolvency from the exchange that you put your currency on, your crypto on. So in this case, it's usually Bybit or something. But if you believe that Bybit is safe, then there's very little risk. I think that the current liquidation level for my Bitcoin trade right now is, Bitcoin would have to go to $1,000 or something for me to get liquidated. So extremely low risk on that side. It's done since March 10th. I think it's done about 65 trades on my behalf, or something like that. And I've gotten, I think about, I started with 1 Bitcoin. I think now I've got 1.04 or something like that in about 2 months. So it does. The interesting thing is that it loves volatility. And so the first month there was a ton of volatility. I saw really great gains. Second month has been much slower because you've seen less volatility and kind of price going up. And when it really, really thrives is when kind of you get these dips, and then it buys these dips, and then you go back up, and it accumulates and takes profit on those ones in Bitcoin. So yeah, I like it because for me, when I've tried trading in the past, it gets really stressful. I'm not very good at it, and these guys have built a really good algorithm that I've, some of my friends have been using it for much longer, for a couple of years, and I've seen their trade history, and it's just really solid. Uh, so yeah, that's Sequence. I don't know if Tim, you want to talk about how it might integrate into the app. I guess that's what people are asking, probably.
Yeah, cool. No, that's really, really useful, Carl. Thanks for that. I haven't actually heard you talk about it from your personal experience. That's really good. Anybody who follows DD also, Bitcoin Family and Coach K, they're saying similar things to what Kyle has been saying in terms of returns. From what I understand, the current algorithms have been trading in their similar form, their current form, for 5 quarters, so more than a year, and been producing really strong returns on both of the algorithms, so the Bitcoin accumulation algorithm and also the stablecoin trading strategy. We are now currently testing both from Commonwealth side. In the meantime, we're also integrating a workflow, which means that from a user experience, all you would do is enter through Commonwealth on the front end. And for those of you who are looking for kind of an easy way to do this type of thing, you will just be able to use Commonwealth. The fees will be exactly the same. There won't be a different fee structure. The only thing that'll be different is that you don't have to pay the minimums. You can just enter as a general user to Commonwealth, which normally means $40 minimum. Around there, still to be clarified exactly what the minimum will be, but it won't be the institutional or high net worth minimum that you need to qualify for in order to use Sequence directly, which is $20,000, 0.2 Bitcoin, and I think 6 ETH. So those are abstracted away by using Commonwealth. And also the having to switch it on, the technical part, which involves APIs and a little bit of fiddly kind of online on-chain work. That's all abstracted away as well. So this is a good example, I suppose, of what I was speaking about earlier, being able to offer wealth creating, profit creating strategies that otherwise are not that accessible to the normal communities, the normal kind of the 99%. So yeah, that's the intention. Right now it's still in conceptual phase, although the operational side of things is progressing. It does seem to be getting favorable responses from you guys in the Discord chat. So people seem to be interested in having this on the app. So it looks like we're going to move ahead and test this one out. What's next, Harry?
Yeah, it's just questions. I think Ian's answered some of them in the chat alongside Connor. We've got a bit of a shy crowd, actually. If anyone wants to put their hand up, please do, even if you want to come up and say hi. Absolutely, man. Just think, any other questions? We've got someone, it's more of a statement, actually. Why do token NFT holders not engage more on X posts? Like and share, does not cost you anything. Absolutely, sir. I agree. Any other questions? Let's see. There is more. This is more of a question, not specific to Commonwealth, though. It's more on the space itself. Seems like memes will continue to siphon off liquidity every time Bitcoin pumps. What's the answer to this? Has the alt space shifted permanently? Very. I mean, it's quite subjective, this, to be honest. Everyone's own experience.
More of a question towards Kyle, I think. I sort of gave my overview on the market and stuff, but what does Kyle think? Are we going back into a meme cycle, Kyle?
I haven't been paying too much attention to that part of the industry. It does seem like it a little bit, which is, I think, unfortunate. But I think that if it's a casino. I wish that part of the market just went away. I think it's very distracting. It sucks a lot of capital and liquidity away. I don't know. I think if the problem is that we just have too many influencers out there that have big audiences that when enough people start talking about them, it becomes everyone's talking about. I I hope that a lot of people learn their lesson from just like the last correction, and it's gonna, if it happens again, it's gonna happen just like it did before, where it's another rerun of the 2021 NFT thing, where it's just a bunch of um, useless tokens sucking up liquidity, early entrants and participants selling on everyone else, and people losing money. So it is. It does seem like that's happening to some degree. There's a new meta that's evolving. It's like internet, ICM, internet creation. I don't know, internet capital creation management or something like that. I forget what it's called, but my researchers are very, they're all over it. It seems like really interesting concept where, I mean, again, it's like it's some sort of real business with real revenue that creates a token that is not affiliated direct. I mean, it's affiliated by only by brand recognition. So it's like an attention token where, like, let's say Coca-Cola were to launch a token, but that token had zero utility. Um, it's like that, and I'm actually going to make a show on it, and curious to hear what people's thoughts are on that. But uh, you're kind of just gambling on the attention of this centralized company doing well or not. So I guess it's like another way to bet on something. But again, you're buying a token that's worthless, doesn't accrue value. The more successful that company becomes, it doesn't necessarily result in that token price increasing or any value from the success of the company going back in the token. So again, it's a token that's, quote, backed by attention, and I think that fad will likely pass pretty quickly. And I honestly don't think there's any big enough company out there that will send these things to really high valuations, but I could be wrong. That's what I've seen so far. Yeah, I think you've seen some of the memes like Pump. I think that's anticipation of a return of them. I'm not sure if we're going to continue to get a massive meme coin rally. Probably, but I just hope it's not as crazy as it was 6 months ago or something. But I don't know. I saw maybe he's not on stage anymore. I saw someone with their hand up, but not anymore.
Yeah, I've brought him up. No, thanks for sharing your insights there, Kyle.
Hi, John.
Johan, yeah. John, go ahead, unmute, and welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
I was just wondering, there was a community vote a while back to take 10% of the profits from the priceless fund and put it into the to the token chart. And I was just wondering if that could happen to the other funds, or like funds in the future where there's a governance vote and you kind of risk a worst case. There's uncertainties there if you don't know if there can be a governance vote at any time, and then yeah. I'm sorry if my question wasn't clear. I was just wondering if that could happen to other funds as well in the future.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of the vote you referred to. I think that was to take 10% of the proceeds that were being paid out from the priceless fund, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Can someone from the team clarify what the actual wording was for that? Because it's a bit specific. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. Won't be a second.
We can come back to that.
Yeah, no worries. We've got another question. I'll just go to that and then we'll come back to that. So, how satisfied is the Commonwealth team with the performance of the Commonwealth KOLs?
This is interesting. Interesting question. I'll grab this one, and then I'm glad Kyle's here, because this is his world much more than my world. But we did run some deep analytics on performance of the the X account specifically and conversion. I don't know if you guys have used Cookie 3 before. Their platform's really, really good at providing this data. And so by far, like almost by a ridiculous quantum, the most important and valuable KOL for Commonwealth has been Kyle. Connor will back me up here. I mean, he can also speak about others that have brought good ROI, but in terms of actual traction and conversion, Kyle is by far the biggest asset to Commonwealth as a KOL. Obviously, it's a little bit biased because in one sense, Kyle is speaking a lot about Commonwealth with mentions in videos, but also on his Twitter account, on his X account. But if you're looking for like doubling down on an effective strategy, which we should be, then having Kyle as a founder of Commonwealth is an extremely strong proposition for the future. And it's great that he's still here and even getting bigger and growing his audience, so that that can be further beneficial towards Commonwealth. The other answer to your question is there is several KOLs that haven't been very active for Commonwealth, and especially in the last 6 months. That's not unusual because the market has been difficult for all KOLs to get traction and to speak with conviction on anything that's just continuing to go down, which makes most of the industry, unfortunately, in the last 6 months. So I don't want to kind of whatever it is, rain on the parade of KOLs in general. KOLs do have a really important role in the crypto industry, but there are some, even with that factored in, that haven't been what we would have hoped with Commonwealth. Those of you who have been following also the vote that we took in the community, which was if there are allocations that are being given to KOLs for free or for services in kind. So not if they invested money, but if they are granted tokens in exchange for support. And those KOLs are not bullish on Commonwealth or not outwardly supporting Commonwealth, then those allocations would be halted. And that process has happened, and we've had discussions with every KOL actually, and a few have been sort of, let's say, the ties have been cut. The majority have reconfirmed and recommitted to supporting Commonwealth in the long term, and we will re-engage them and reactivate them when Commonwealth kind of rebrands and relaunches in the coming future. So it's a really good question. I don't know, Kyle, if you want to add anything on top of that, because like I said, this is your world.
Not really. I guess what we'll say is I think that on the time that we brought in a lot of the KOLs, that was around when we launched, which was June. Was that last year or the year before? It was last year, I guess, right? The year before.
We launched end of May, early June. 2024, correct? Yeah.
Okay. So, so I think that at that time, it felt like things were going to get a lot stronger. And then we just saw, what we've seen is just, this meme coin takeover and lack of attention and quality of alts. And so, we've done tons of analysis on this and just saw that most good projects in the space, we're down a lot from the launch price, and it's hard for a KOL to talk about something. Well, not really, actually. I think the way that KOLs typically talk about projects are like trying to create this FOMO buy pressure. This is going to pump so hard. It would be nice if we got more support in just sharing updates that we post, just so people know that we're still alive. But I do think, though, that most of the updates that we're giving, it doesn't hurt that the only people seeing them are people who are really in this Discord and people who are really following like the Telegram and updates and paying attention to what we're doing, because it gives us a chance to kind of when the markets are moving bigger and the retail is coming, because what's going to really take is going to take retail to come back in, and we're seeing a little bit of signs of that right now, right? We see the Phantom app climbing up, the Coinbase app climbing up. They're not crazy yet, but it's going to take a lot of retail to come back in, and we have to go through this typical market cycle where you see Bitcoin dominance shifting to Ethereum. We've seen that, right? We've seen Ethereum, the Ethereum Bitcoin chart looking very favorable to Ethereum. We've seen the Ethereum Solana chart looking very favorable to Ethereum. So we do see that beginning of that transition. If you, most of you guys have probably seen that kind of way capital flows in the crypto markets through cycles. It starts with Bitcoin, then goes to Ethereum, then goes to major caps, then to mid caps, and then when there's a lot of money injected in the space and people are making money, they really go to the smaller caps. I mean, at the same time, everything is rising, like a rising tide raises all ships during that time. But then you see these, this is when these crazy smaller caps do 50x's or whatever toward the end of the kind of parabolic cycle. So when the time is right, we need to open up those discussions again with the existing KOLs and get them back on board, restart their investing schedules, and then have discussions with new ones as well, and then try to get some exposure. It's the same thing that we're doing at Paid Network. Just paused KOL distribution and looking for a good time to re-engage with them, because I still think that right now the attention is just not here. So what we've been doing instead of focusing on KOLs, pause that and really focus on user experience in the app and building some killer products that people will like. We have to market them. We have to market the products in a way, and that's a lot of the reason that we've saved a lot of capital for is continue feature build and development, but we haven't spent much of the treasury on marketing. And when you're building a company with products like we have, it's always good to go out and spend $500 on a Google Ads campaign or $500 on a Facebook campaign or whatever, and you see if that $500 comes back as $600 or $550 or $400, and you can play around with these different marketing campaigns to see if you get the ROI. And then once you find something that works, now you know that for every dollar you put in, you get $1.50 back or $2 back. And then that's easily scalable from that point on. Once you find that formula, once you find that where it makes sense to put marketing dollars, because you're always making money back for every dollar you spend, then you can scale on that real easily. And so our goal is to really be able to appeal to crypto newbies, normies, and a lot of people who've been in the space for a long time believe that they can manage their funds better than something like a fund can. We want to be that fund, people who can't afford these minimums in funds, or want early access to deals that they otherwise couldn't get into. So, and then all other products that we're building too are going to be appealing. They're also, like when we talk about Sequence, for example, again, that's available to anybody right now, but it's a pretty high barrier. And so Commonwealth has always been democratization of access to the 99%. And the Sequence deal is another example of democratization of access to the 99%. So I think the KOL question is just about re-engaging with the existing ones that are on board, maybe making some new engagements with some other ones. In Dubai, built some good relationships, met some other large KOLs face to face I had never met before. And there's a lot of new emerging ones too that are really putting in hard work. And what we've noticed from some of the larger ones, they're too distracted. Maybe they don't put in as much effort as we'd like to see, don't care enough. But I think that so that's my 2 cents. I think that treating the growth approach, both from a Web3 perspective, so that's focused on the attention side and the attention side and the wealth token side of things, and then also approaching this like a Web2 company where we are trying to find the best places to spend marketing dollars to get people to actually onboard and adopt the products and use them. And that side of the business is really important for giving the fuel for the Web3 KOLs to talk about, something for them to talk about. Looking at things like a Dune dashboard that's showing users on platform, AUM on platform, ROI of the deals. All of this stuff is really important marketing fuel for the Web3 KOLs to come and talk about. So that's all for that. I see Polymath added another question about plans for building a Telegram bot. I have no idea. I'll hand that back to Tim or Ian or something. But nice to see you here, Polymath, as other chats as well.
It was already answered there. I think the ecosystem of Telegram is really now for the TON chain. So we're native to base chain. It limits a lot what you can do. There was some kind of resolution passed by the TON Foundation in that direction, who are obviously big shareholders in Telegram and vice versa. So it's difficult to capitalize if you're not on TON chain, but we can look into it. But there is a lot of a lot of exciting stuff coming, and I think we can save some of the kind of developments and iterations for future AMAs, but also I think I've given a lot of insights as to what's coming in the next few months. So hopefully you guys have taken something out of the AMA. If there's any last questions, please fire them over. Otherwise, Kyle, we're late for another meeting, but let's prioritize the end of this one. Oh yes, answer Johan, thank you. So the question from Johan was whether or not we could use the same vote mechanic, which was 10% of the payouts for the Priceless Fund being used to support the wealth token. He was right, in fact, buyback and burns. That was passed, and that is being done right now. In terms of the other funds, can that be passed? I think we'll just have to look into it, Johan. I'm not going to sort of reflex too quickly on that one, because it needs to be given some thought and consideration. But if the community within that fund is bullish to do that, then I don't see a reason why it couldn't be discussed. But definitely something to be discussed with the slice holders or the owners of the Alpha Fund itself. Going forward, can we bake that into the mechanics of the token economy? That's something to look into as well. It's a nice suggestion. Thank you for that. I think, Harry, if there's nothing else, should we aim to wrap it up?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we've answered the majority of the questions, if not all of them. And Johan, thanks for coming up as well. And we can wrap this up nicely. There's been a lot of information shared. This is recorded, so if anyone attended late, you'll be able to go back to it once we sort out the recording and get it posted up soon. Thank you to the panel and everyone else that joined. Thank you, Kyle, Costa, Ian, and Tim. We'll wrap this up until next time, but we're always around. Any questions? Discord is the best place to come in and ask them questions, and we'll see you around. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Harry, for hosting. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Cheers.